So, afternoon, everybody in the call. If it's an afternoon for you, otherwise, good morning, good evening, or whatever time zone you're in. And welcome at the QBS Talks webinar on the Microsoft Inspire 2017 event. Hope you can all hear me, and thanks for joining this call. And the idea is to share the first hot news and the first impressions that we collected last week in Washington, D.C. around all the messages from Microsoft Inspire 2017. So my name is Guus Krabbenborg. I work for QBS Group. I think I forgot a slide on who QBS Group is, but hopefully some of you have heard of our company. In a nutshell, we are a value-added distributor for Dynamics partners, and we try to help Dynamics partners today mainly in Europe to improve their business and help them to get better in their business and get better results. And one of the things to do that is informing our partners. We like to say that QBS partners are the best informed Microsoft partners of the whole world. And one of the tools to inform our partners is something called QBS Talks. These are webinars like the one today. So to talk to you like 30-40 minutes and share the first high-level impressions of this event. Myself, I returned last Friday morning with quite a big jet lag. So I started to land on Earth again on Saturday, collecting my thoughts, and together with my colleagues, we started writing our business report that I want to share some more with you later on. So Microsoft Inspire seems to be a new event, but actually it's not, because Microsoft has organized this event 14 years more. So as you can see, this is the 15th edition. However, they choose to change the names. So the name of this event always was WPC, which is short for Worldwide Partner Conference. And it basically means that this is an event where all the Microsoft partners in all products and all domains from all over the world are invited. So unlike events like Directions, which is an NAV event, or that's interesting. So specific CRM events, Extreme, sorry, I forgot the word. Maybe still a bit lazy from the jet lag. Unlike those events, this Worldwide Partner Conference, or today Inspire, is focusing on all the products. So over the last 15 years, it was the third time that this event went to Washington, D.C. As always, I've been there for 14, this was my 14th edition, so I visited this event since 2004. It's unbelievable positive energy. For the ones in the audience who never had the pleasure to be there, there's so many people and they're all connected to Microsoft. And they're all motivated to talk and to share, and there's literally people from all over the world. So typically what we saw and what we see is a lot of, let's say, positive energy, especially in the journey that Microsoft has made over the last 3 years. So we've seen a lot of new innovation, and I know there's a lot of innovation, and we've seen really great and sexy demos. So unlike last year's where Microsoft was, moving on showing products, single product like ERP or IoT or Cortana Intelligence, this time we saw really great demos. And for the first time, at least in my 14 years, we saw not just partners on stage in the Vision keynotes, but there even were customers on stage. So, where you could expect from US companies, fancy demos and, you're never sure if they were fake, yes or no. And if it was really a product already, yes or no. We saw people on stage that were customers, and they were backed up with the partners that delivered stuff. And we really saw great demos. One of them was from a German partner called ProMX, and they deliver project management software. And they had a customer who was the fire brigade from das Ruhrgebiet, so an industrial area in Germany. And we really saw great demos on how they do stuff if there's a fire alarm, how they communicate with each other, how they use HoloLens, how they use maps in all kind of different ways. And they sort of made a show where the Microsoft vice president on stage, Judson Althoff, was wearing, a helmet as he was a fire officer and a chute. So that was really good to see. So when I was writing a blog that I just tell you about this minute, in a minute, I thought of made some steps back, and I remembered the WPC in 2014. That's only 3 years ago, ladies and gentlemen, where Microsoft said we lost our dominant market position, and today we're a challenger. So there was really, I think, the deepest point in the emotions that I've seen in the last 14 years in Microsoft, where Microsoft admitted that they lost domain, they lost territory and whatsoever. Now the good thing is that I would say since the change of CEOs, where Steve Ballmer retired and Satya Nadella started his new journey, I don't think it's a coincidence, but ever since Microsoft is going up. And I checked my notes and my report for last year, and last year Microsoft was very happy to announce that a company called Facebook decided to start working with Microsoft software. And they had their CIO on stage saying Microsoft got cool again, right? And think about the word again, right? They were not cool before. I would say, in my words, today Microsoft is cool, no doubt about that, right? So just want to give you an idea on, the energy and the gut feeling about all the innovations over there. So here is Satya Nadella, again, the one who succeeded Steve Ballmer. And I think since he started, we see a complete new leadership. We see a complete new mindset. I would say we see a company with a different DNA. In my words, and no good or bad, but just observations, Steve Ballmer was proprietary, was looking inside out, was focusing on short results for Microsoft. And I would say this guy, Satya Nadella, is all the way completely different. Right? He talks outside in. He is open for new ideas. He doesn't want to hide the best jewels only for Microsoft, but he is open to work with other vendors as well. And well, if you look at the share prices of Microsoft, what happened with them over the last 3 years, you can see that at least investors believe that this guy is doing. So, I tried to make a short summary in the limited time that I had about the key messages in Satya's keynote on Monday morning. So, I thought I'd collect some key figures. Right? 17,000 is the number of attendees that were in Washington, D.C. And we'll show you some pictures afterwards or on the website. You'll see, that fills up a big ice hockey or basketball stadium, because 17,000 people is a lot, of course. All these people came from 140 different countries. And I'm not really sure on the total number of countries that we have in the world, but I can tell you 140 is a big part of that. So it basically means that it looks like the world all together in one basketball stadium, as if it's a small village. So 46,000 is the number of partners, and I guess that's wrong because it should be 640,000. Yeah, that's 640,000. So sorry for missing one nil there. 640,000 is the number of Microsoft partners worldwide, and that moved from the biggest SIs to maybe a small reseller of hardware or Office, whatever. But I can tell you 640,000 is by far the biggest numbers of partners that any IT company on the planet has. So it basically means that you as a Microsoft partner are part of the biggest ecosystem, right? And then interesting number that I was not aware of, these 640,000 together employ 17 million people. Now you've heard of this small country, the Netherlands, somewhere in Europe, close to the North Sea, which means that we have around 70 million people living here. So the number of employees of all the Microsoft partners together is sort of similar to all the people that live in the Netherlands. So what else is relevant to say now? Well, every time Satya Nadella starts with the Microsoft mission, right, to empower every individual and company on the planet to achieve more. And how bold it might sound or how dull it might sound, no matter what, every time I feel when he starts with that, it gives me the feeling that these guys know what they do. And you can see, if you go to inspire2017.com, you can see, let's say, the recordings of the vision keynotes. And really, I would encourage you to do and take some time to see that. So Satya Nadella was on Monday, on the first day. But if the way he starts talking about this mission and from there starts talking and explaining about development of products, about roadmaps, about decisions they make, that's why I'm wondering, why should you not copy that? So if you start this a workshop, if you start a presentation, doesn't matter if it's an existing customer or a new one, or maybe an external consultant, selection consultant, why don't you start with this mission, right? To empower every single individual person and company on the planet to achieve more, because at the end, that's what people like, right? So Nadella talked a lot about the intelligent cloud, which you could say is a sort of a summary of all the clouds that Microsoft has. And for me, a new term, the intelligent edge. So it sounds a bit fluffy perhaps, but intelligent cloud and intelligent edge together has a calculated market size of 4.5 trillion US dollars. So that's not million, that's not billion, but that's, 1,000 billion is a trillion, 4.5 trillion US dollars, which of course is a huge, huge, huge market size. And you can imagine Microsoft is eager to take a big share of that. And you as a Microsoft partner, of course, can share in taking that share. I'll have a slide in a minute that I want to show you a picture on that. So then there was an official announcement of a new product called Microsoft 365. And I thought that was interesting because most of us are familiar with Office 365, right? Which is the bundle of all the Office products like Excel, Word, PowerPoint, and all the others. We're familiar with Dynamics 365, where I say that's a bundling of ERP and CRM mainly, but then with Office, Azure, and all the other stuff. But now Microsoft also announced Microsoft 365. And what is Microsoft 365? It is basically Windows 10 plus Office 365 plus security, security and something sweet, I forgot. All right, so the interesting point that I see is that Microsoft for many years was a product company selling siloed solutions. And to be honest, if you took a look in the Microsoft organization, you saw a siloed organization. You had an ERP department talking ERP, then was a big wall. On the other side of the wall, you had CRM guys, and another wall that was Office and productivity, and so on and so further. I believe personally that the biggest achievement of Satya Nadella over the last 3 years is this guy demolished the silos. He's taking down the walls, which basically means that, products get connected, that development teams start talking to each other. And of course, in the end, our customers and you as a partners can benefit from that, because we know that integration is probably one of the biggest hurdle for any end customer today in this fast changing world. So for me, Microsoft 365, like Office 365 and like Dynamics 365 shows us that Microsoft is bundling different previously siloed products into Microsoft Stack solutions. Another example of that is Microsoft Relationship Sales. Hopefully you're all aware of the fact that Microsoft bought a company called LinkedIn last year for this astonishing size of money, 26 billion US dollars. And they beat Salesforce because they were interested as well. So last year, Microsoft was not allowed to say anything about LinkedIn on Worldwide Partner Conference 2016 in Toronto for the simple reason that the acquisition was in a formal approval process, right? And you know how American people are. If you are not allowed to say anything, you just don't say anything, right? Unlike what we Europeans maybe should do. So this time, since the deal is done now, this time, of course, we saw a lot of LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn in demos, LinkedIn in bundles, just like you see here, Office with Dynamics 365 plus LinkedIn Sales Navigator on Azure. But we even saw that Microsoft started using LinkedIn themselves. Just to give you a small example, if you went to visit Inspire, you of course need to register over systems, and one of the ways to get access to the system was of course a password and an email address, but the other one was logging in with your LinkedIn address, right? So there we already see that Microsoft starts using LinkedIn, and maybe you also saw that LinkedIn a few months ago surpassed the milestone of 500 million people with an active profile. 500 million, that's amazing, right? Imagine you could use all these people, let's say close to your CRM, your pipeline, your opportunities, and whatsoever. I think the last important message, of course, Satya talked a lot about digital transformation, and what struck me most, what he said, digital transformation enabled by Dynamics 365. So we saw a ton of demos of all kind of topics like Dynamics 365 for talent, like the one with LinkedIn Sales Navigator, but he says digital transformation, which is the way to go to this hugely market of intelligent cloud and intelligent edge. And the way to do it is to be enabled with Dynamics 365. So with that, I that we took from this presentation is our opportunity together. On the right hand side, you see the 4.5 trillion on the intelligent cloud, intelligence edge. On the left hand side, you see the 4 most important workloads that Microsoft took for fiscal year 18. So this is high level stuff, of course, because Microsoft has so many solutions, but we see the modern workplace, right? Your workplace in all its flavors. On the second place, we see business applications, and that's their arena where we see NAV and Great Plains and CRM, AX, and of course, where we see Dynamics 365. Then there's application and infrastructure, and last but not least, data and artificial intelligence, AI. And what should we do with all those applications? What should customers do? Well, that's what you see in the middle. Empower employees, let them do more with less. Engage customers, think CRM, think customer engagement. Optimize operations, right? What traditionally is the domain of ERP, and transform products, right? One other slide, and that's a picture that I took, so it's maybe not the best quality, but what we see here is our expanding opportunity. And the guy who's talking there is Judson Althoff, the guy who runs as a vice president worldwide commercial operations. And what Microsoft tried to say with this picture is we had in the past a market for PCs that must have been in the Bill Gates MS-DOS days, where they estimated the PC market to be $2.5 billion, right? A lot of money, of course, by then. And then we saw, as a next wave, the client server market, which was, let's say, calculated on a total market size 10 times bigger, 250 billion. Then we went to mobile and cloud as sort of the third wave with 2.5 trillion. And as you can see, this 4.5 trillion, of course, is almost double the size. The question, of course, is what's the message next year, right? But what we see is that Microsoft is a company that is fully aware of the attractiveness of this market. And I think that we all know that Microsoft is one of the very, very few companies that has products and concepts and competencies to cover most of what's needed, let's say, for digital transformation, and to cover what's needed to win a fine, fair share of this huge market. And the good, we're all with them, right, as Microsoft partners. The work you see now is the second person that had a session on Monday morning in the keynote. Could have been Dutch with his finger on top, but he's an American guy. His name is Ron Huddleston. Why do I show this guy? Well, last year he made a pretty spectacular transfer because he came from a company called Salesforce.com, and he made his transfer into Microsoft. And it was not just a Salesforce.com employee, but he was one of the ghost-fathers or the grandfathers of the app source in Salesforce. So the fact that this guy came over was, of course, an interesting move. And the second thing we can take out of that is that, App Source or App Store, I have to say, right? The App Source in Microsoft is something that is fully supported by this guy, Ron Huddleston. So he's the one that presented the One Microsoft vision. And when checking my slides from last year's Hot News webinar, I noticed that last year Microsoft already started talking about One Microsoft, bringing all the stuff together rather than have different salespeople with different siloed offerings going to the same customer. But this time Microsoft took it one step further. So Huddleston explained to the audience the so-called One Commercial Partner approach. And I took the 3 letters behind it, OCP, because I already saw in many articles OCP, and it took me a while, but maybe I was a bit tired, to realize that OCP is short for One Commercial Partner. So you better prepare yourself for this 3-letter word. We got another one in our industry. Hooray. One Commercial Partner has a big impact. And I would say Microsoft told the audience that the change now in the sales department is the biggest change that Microsoft has seen in sales in the last decade. So there has not been a bigger change in the last 10 years. So basically what OCP, One Commercial Partner, means is moving from a partner-led organization to a partner-focused organization. You can say, what's the difference? Well, what I feel and the intent that I heard is that, partners, that Microsoft wants to make partners more important than they were today, which is, of course, not a bad thing. OCP is built on 3 different steps or phases, if you like to say it. The first one is build with, the second one is go to market, and the third one is sell with. My next slide will show you a picture, so I'll walk you through in a minute. Important other thing is that Huddlestone told us that the Microsoft people, the Microsoft teams, will not be measured anymore on how many licenses they sell, but they will be measured on partner success. So if you go back 2 bullets above and you say, what does it mean to go from partner-led to partner focus? I would say in a world where money drives behavior, if you say teams will be measured on partner success, it means that, your success more or less, your success or even theoretically your failure will impact the payments that the Microsoft people get. So I think that's a big step ahead in aligning Microsoft salespeople with partner salespeople. Hudson told us that Microsoft will invest 250 million US dollars in this new fiscal year that started on the 1st of July, a few weeks ago, to link partners to customers. So they're going to spend money on people, on training, on tools, on whatever it needs, right, to link partners better and more than they did before to customers. What Huddlestone did not say, and what Satya Nadella did not say, and actually nobody talked about, was the layoffs. I'm sure you've read something in the news about that. So the news said that Microsoft had a layoff of around 3,000 workplaces. We're never sure if it's jobs or if it's people. But basically what it means is that Microsoft is reorganizing her sales department as we speak. It was a bit confusing because, as I said, formally nobody talked about it. Informally, the rumors, the walking alleys, of course, all the partners talked about it. And also Microsoft people talked about it. And it was sort of confusing to see that there were Microsoft people, even on the airport. You said, is it good that I see you here? Can I congratulate you? But some of them, went and still had a job. Some of them went because it was already booked, but I lost a job. And some are in between 2 jobs looking for something new. The question, of course, came up, why didn't Microsoft come up earlier with that? And the sort of informal answer was they wanted to wait the end of the fiscal year in order, to save the revenue. And only after June 30th, they started communicating internally on the top and then to the countries and then to the employees. So that took some time. I would say if you think about one commercial partner and you think combining that with the layoffs, and try to fill in the dots in between. The step that Microsoft is making now is going away from dedicated Dynamics people and going away from dedicated Azure people or dedicated productivity people. So the salespeople that Microsoft want to have starting today are salespeople that can cover all the 4 workloads that I just showed you, from modern workplace to data and artificial intelligence and everything in between. And that's, of course, a big change because so far Microsoft, like I said, was a siloed company with siloed product development, but also with siloed sales. So they're moving away now from product salespeople and they want to go to a situation where people can pitch and sell all the stack from left to right, which is a lot. And that basically also means for you, ladies and gentlemen, that if you are a managed partner today, there's a chance that you will not be managed anymore in the near future because Microsoft cut out 3,000 jobs. So less partners will be managed is first message. And the second one, if you have contact with Microsoft, you probably will in this fiscal year will talk to a Microsoft person and not to a Microsoft Dynamics person anymore. And you could wonder, is that good or bad? I think in the past Microsoft had salespeople for Word and salespeople for Excel and salespeople for PowerPoint until they integrated it all, and then they had salespeople for Office. So, now we see that the Dynamics products become mainstream and really is in the heart of what Microsoft is, something that most of us, have been begging and praying for the last 15 years. Now we're finally there. You might also say, a logical result of all that is that we lose the product-specific people and you get more generic people. So what the consequences of all that for you is, I can't say, of course, with so many people in the call. One thing is for sure, we at QBS will continue doing Dynamics because that's in our heart. We eat it, we dream it, we sleep with Microsoft Dynamics. So whatever happens in Microsoft, we will be, let's say, the company that would like to hold your hand with a warm hand and help you through the Dynamics journey going forward. On your screen, you see now maybe a pretty complex picture of this one commercial partner organization, OCP. So if I walk you through from left to right, you see partner specialization on the left. Not so much new, right? There's ISVs, there's system integrators, there's managed services, and I assume that the value-added resellers are part of the channels. I'm not sure. Then on the top you see those three phases: build with, go to market, and sell with. So these are the steps that Microsoft, want to take in the commercial arena. So it talks about partner management. So that's recruiting new partners, that's developing and growing partners, launching. Then we got go to market, which basically is, the marketing, the lead generation, but also capacity requirements. Which partner is able to do what? Do you have enough capacity to develop and deliver, great deals? And the third motion is sell with. So Microsoft says one organization, three motions. And as before, we see the split in enterprise on the top right, and we see SME, small and medium. But now they call it not SMB, small and medium business, but SMC, small, medium, and corporate business. So that basically means that enterprise and corporate now is split. That enterprise will be a smaller number of real big companies they're going to focus on, and you might say SMC is sort of the rest. So, the focus in all the alley discussions and the rumors were a lot about, who is where in the blue parts, the 6 blue squares in the middle. So we see there a partner development manager, we see a territory channel manager. So there's different roles now. One of the messages was the PSE, yes, we knew it before, partner sales executive, the person that is helping a partner, previously called PAM, partner account manager. So the PSE role will be written out, will be scratched out of the blueprint. And this job is perceived as too broad. So Microsoft will come back with an account manager role and with a channel manager role. And I have some difficulties to see which of the 6, could be close to them. But the account manager role is really one-on-one. So one account manager working with one partner, where the channel manager, probably the partner development manager, is the person that looks after a certain domain, a certain vertical market, and try to look who are the best partners that could help Microsoft to win the deals. Well, we see technical in below, we see programs and incentives, and you can imagine, I tried to tell a little bit about you, but I was in a session with the German partners, and of course there were thousands of questions, and after the answers, a lot of them was, we don't know, we're new in the role. Of course, there will be 1,000 new questions, right? So this is something to follow up on, let's say, the coming weeks, and we'll try to find as much information as we can to collect all that in our business report. So then, if you've been there for a week, I could talk to you guys for hours and hours, but, your time is limited. So I would like, let's say, to keep it limited. But there are some various topics, right? One of them that struck me a lot was specialization and verticalization. And the ones in the call that know me or have listened to QBS talks before, or even have been in my training rooms, I know that I talk and write a lot about specialization and verticalization. That's not a new topic. I know in many European countries, partners are already specialized and verticalized. But it was for me the first time to see that Microsoft was pushing this message, not in the parallel sessions, but really on the vision keynote. So the highest level where everybody was there, and they kept on talking about, the specialization, and they kept on talking about the verticalization. And if you think about you moving into Dynamics 365, one of the things that I said in my vlog is that if you compete now with all the NF partners in your country, or if you do GP or CRM with all the GP or CRM partners, then you know the number of serious competitors. But as soon as you move into the Dynamics 365 arena, it's your category of partners that will do that, but also GP, CRM, AX, Office partners. So you can expect that the number of competitors you get in Dynamics 365 will be 3, 4, 5-fold. And to differentiate yourself, you probably have to specialize yourself even more than you do today. Right? So I've been talking about if you're in a macro vertical today, think manufacturing or government or education or professional services. That might be enough today in your market where you meet maybe 10 or 30 or 50 competitors with the same product. But if it's 500 of competitors, you probably need to go deeper in a niche to specialize yourself. And I use the example that if you're in professional services and you want to go into a niche, you might consider to focus yourself on lady hairdressers. And if that's not a niche enough, you might say we go for lady hairdressers that focus on lady with brown hair, for instance, right? So that was an interesting point. And on stage, we even had a corporate vice president industry. I wasn't aware that Microsoft had some person. But she said to understand the customer, you need to understand their industry. So that's, I think, an interesting point. Second point I want to touch on is Dynamics product news. So we talked, and I see my fifth bullet is also, no, Dynamics product news. So we thought in general that there was not really much news on Dynamics 365. So it was not much on the product. I would say the only thing we see new was the marketing module that will arise in Dynamics 365 Business Edition. Although, unfortunately, this will not be available in the very short term. Microsoft said something about rebranding. For the ones who've read our directions report, we did an interview with two marketing ladies from Corp, and they explained why Microsoft tried to avoid the terms ERP and CRM when it comes to Dynamics 365. Basically, they say ERP and CRM are acronyms that are poisoned, because everybody in the world has had some experience with some ERP or CRM project, or maybe even more. And as we all know, most of those experiences were not always very perfect, right? Distinct time, overrun time and budget and stuff like that, a lot of stress. But plus the imago from that is, monolithic systems that are hard to change and so on and so further. So for Microsoft, that was reasons to come up with new, let's say, descriptions in Dynamics 365. And they decided to move away from ERP and CRM. And they came up with words like sales and marketing, which is the equivalent of CRM, sales, marketing, and service even. And on the ERP side, they decided to call, let's say, the enterprise version based on AX, not ERP anymore, but operations. That's where you probably know that they called the ERP part in Business Edition financials. Well, this Business Edition was launched in the US and Canada on November the 1st last year. So we're working on there, like I said, 8 months. And the experience in these 8 months is that although Microsoft had a good story about changing that, most of the customers and prospects are still typing ERP and CRM in Google. And they still search for those kind of systems because, of course, they're not aware of the fact that Microsoft chooses for financials and operations. And as soon as they've heard of operations and financials, they said, financials, is that only accounting? So, and the same for operations. Operations sounds like supply chain, right? Warehouse and stuff, but not so much as a full-blown ERP system. So all kind of reasons why Microsoft sort of said we have to change this because it will hurt us. And then they decided to do a rebranding, and I'm not sure if it's better or worse than we were, because now it's called Dynamics 365, and I have to be careful now, for finance and operations, Business Edition, or Dynamics 365 for finance or operations, Enterprise Edition. So I'm not sure, you can almost fill a tweet with 140 positions with this long name and how that will work out, right? So that's the rebranding. Good news here is that we will do an interview with Gordon MacDonald. He is one of the directors for product management and product marketing. So we'll ask hopefully some smart questions to him about this rebranding, and you'll find the interview in the report when it's ready. Said something about position of LinkedIn, so don't want to go into that as well. And then, interesting for most of us in the call is, what is the future of NAV, GP, Great Plains, and Solomon? So from all the sessions, I think there were 300 to 400 separate sessions, parallel sessions, workshop, roundtables, and whatever. From the 300 to 400, there was only one session dedicated on these 3 products. And it was interesting to see that it was facilitated in a pretty small room. And I was happy to be in early because 15 minutes before the start, the door closed and everybody had to go to another place where they only could see a screen. Of course, the message was we go on investing in NAV, GP, and SL. We will support, we'll keep on investing. But, some partners said the fact that we're sitting in a small room and there's only one session sort of could be a non-verbal statement about the importance. Well, over the weekend and this morning, I finalized a blog, which is my review of Inspire 2017. And I took sort of 11 main messages that Inspire has for Dynamics partners. And the blog is already posted by my colleague Daniela, so it's on the QBS Group now, qbsgroup.com. So, of course, you're invited to read this blog if you want to learn more. Well, maybe that's a nice move from blogs to vlogs, because I did something new, which is amazing. And my wife actually didn't believe that I was able to do it on my age. But I thought, I've been blogging for the last 450 years. I know how to do that. I created books, but I've heard of people talking about vlogging, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but it's sort of a video blog. So I thought, sort of what the heck, let me do something else, because the world is changing. And from QBS, we keep on saying to partners, come out of your comfort zone, start doing something new. I know you're smiling now behind your PC, but I can't hear it. So I said, why not try something new? So you see here in the main entrance of the building, the conference center in Washington, a so-called junior vlogger, right? So I started doing vlogs. I actually made 5 of them. And this looks a bit like an attractive page, but we posted them very fast. And in the red line, you can see the URL of the page. So on this page, you find the 5 blocks that I've created myself with help from colleagues. Day 1 was the day before, sort of a preview. And then day 2, 3, and 4 was, let's say, commenting on all the things that happens in the keynote. And block number 5, I've done together with my colleague Michael Hartman, where we sort of said, let's oversee what happened, what's the most remarkable thing, and what does it mean for partners. So if you're interested to see, then please take a look. I have to say, my youngest son, he's 14 years, he was coaching me that, I should not make selfie from the bottom, but from higher, because otherwise, he's, in his words, you can see how ugly you are, daddy, and so on and so further. So I think I made some progress, but it's interesting to do. It goes fast. And of course, the idea now is to do similar vlogging on Directions 2017 EMEA in October in Madrid. So that's to be continued. Then I talked a few times already about the business report. I'm not selling you anything, but the happenings at Inspire event are huge. The changes are huge. The speed in which the changes follow up, we all know, is faster than lightning. That's why I always like to say, as you can see here in the text, being a Dynamics partner today is like dancing on a volcano, right? It's pretty hot on your feet. So we strongly believe that it's hugely important for partners to stay ahead of the curve. Maybe you should not implement everything on day 1, but at least you should be aware of what's going on. You should be aware of the direction so that you prepare in time. And we all know how fast it goes. We all know how busy we all are, right? So that's why we said, as one of our milestones, QBS partners are the best informed Microsoft partners. That's our North Star. That's how we live here today in QBS. And we got several means. QBS Talks, like you listen to, is one. QBS Shares, right? We got newsletters. We got all kind of stuff. But the reports are one important part of that. So myself, I've been writing these reports ever since 2004. So this will be my 13th or 14th report. And what we're going to do is write another report. And, I made some learnings because in the past I wrote it all myself. And I can tell you it was a hell of a job. So this time I asked help from 9 colleagues. And I asked them all to cover a specific topic. Think Microsoft organization change. Think CRM. Think CSP program. Think NAV and extensions, right? So, and this way, of course, my workload goes down. Hopefully one day I can just sit and wait until the deadline is there and collect all the documents. I will still write some stuff, but it's not just the fact that the work is spread out. More important for you guys is that we can cover many more domains, right? Also things that I don't understand anything from. Now my colleagues can help. Right, so this report will be a valuable report. That's no doubt about that. And of course, I urge you to get that. How does that work? Well, if you're a partner today, this report, all our other reports on Directions and on Extreme are for free. Once again, our ambition is to make you guys the best informed partners in the Microsoft worldwide channel. Right. If you're not a QBS partner, you can buy a copy. It's not per user or whatever. You pay 400 euros and then you get the report. Well, I can hear the Dutch partner thinking, whoa, 400 euros is a lot of money. Well, it is. But I can tell you, if you want to get access to the Inspire plus hotel plus tickets, it's 10 times more. And don't talk about the time you're there, and don't talk about the time to write the report. I know from partners that spend more money on taxi or beer, right, if they are in Washington. So, my question to you would be, what's the price if you miss the boat? What's the price if you're too late? I think it's worthwhile to do it. On top of that, this year, we would like to do a deep dive webinar. So this one is high level because, everything just happened. But in this session in September the 4th at 4 p.m. Central European Summertime, we do a session of at least 60 minutes that will dive deeper. It's English spoken. I'll talk a bit later in a minute on other languages. And it will include all the details from my co-report, so all the stuff that I did not have now. My guess to you, if you're sitting now alone from your company in this call, I'm sure you wonder, okay, this could be interesting for my marketing, or this could be interesting for my, for my CEO or CFO, whatever. So, I think that a lot of people that visit such a webinar, or visit such an event, they struggle with how do I bring all those messages internally. So in QBS, we decided to do an internal call, which we do the day after tomorrow, to update all our people. So the team, we were there with 8 people. The team now will present everything, all the learnings, all the go-dos, all the mind-use to our colleagues, because it's important stuff for everybody. And I thought, why don't you do the same? So just a suggestion, a gentle suggestion from the Netherlands. If you say this could be interesting, why don't you join this? Don't sit behind your PC, but go sit in your meeting room or your demo room, right? Put the webinar on a big screen and go sit with your complete leadership team, or even with all the people in your company for an hour, so that you all start understanding what happened there. And the good news then is you're all on one page, right? You're on the same page of the book. And I will, in the preparation, include all kinds of strategic questions that I believe that every Dynamics partner should ask themselves, right? So hopefully that's something that you're enthusiastic about. Well, your question could be, what would it bring me, but also would it cost you? So again, QBS partners attend for free because we want them to be the best informed partners. If you're not QBS partner or not yet QBS partner, your only fee is €200. Again, not per entity, but per company. And if you combine these two, so you say, buy the report and I also want to attend this event, would you say 400 plus 206? Well, we said, why don't make it attractive for you, so you buy it for €500. I know that a lot of people understand English, but some people would prefer other languages. That's why we said we do 2 redeliveries in other languages. 2 of them are planned. So one is in the German language, auf Deutsch, on August 29th, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Central European Summertime, and we'll do another redelivery in Spanish language at September 5. So I think we're close to the 45 minutes that I promised myself, and I also promised you. So that brings us at the end of this QBS Talks. I hope you could take out the news you're interested in. I think it's fair to say that we recorded. Did we record? Yep, we recorded this. Always good to hear. So we will make the recording available on the QBS Group website, so that if you say, I want to share this with my colleagues or whatever, or I want to listen back again, or you maybe were later than and missed the start, then of course you're free to do that. I hope you liked it, and from QBS we wish you a good luck with all the changes that come up to you. If you have any questions around the report, around the webinar or other things, please contact your QBS contact person or send me an email. You see my email address in the right bottom, gk@qbsgroup.com. Okay, having said that, I think we're done for this afternoon. Have a great last part of the afternoon. Wish you all a great evening. If you're on holiday this European summer, enjoy your summer holiday and hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.